There it goes. Hey, everybody. I don't know if y'all remember who I am. My name is Mike Underwood, and I am the new preacher at the Blue Ridge Church of Christ. Been there since February, but it seems like it's been a year since I've been there because of the recent influx of COVID virus. And anyway, I am anxious to get back together with you guys. Janine and I both are, and I'm just really anxious to be back in your fellowship. I thought I would, since today is Wednesday and we've called off church, I say we have the elders have called off services for the evening because of the virus. And I think they did the right thing to give us plenty of time, not only Janine and I, but everyone who is suffering with the virus, plenty of time to, I don't know what the word is, but de-expose or be de-exposed to the virus. And anyway, I wanted to take a little time to let you know that we're doing fine and maybe spend a minute or two in devotion to our God for just for a few minutes this evening. I do want to say thank you to all of you. I know you have been praying for us. Many of you have called and prayed with us, and you brought by food, and you're doing the same thing for many others. And I just want to tell you how much Janine and I really and truly appreciate your doing that. And it's meant a whole lot to us. I know I was joking a while ago, you don't know who I am anymore. And I know you do. And I know you have a great appreciation for us, and that appreciation is felt. And we just wanted to express that to you. I was reading in one of the Psalms today, in Psalm 75, it says, "We give thanks to you, O God, we give thanks. For your wondrous works we declare, your wondrous works declare that your name is near." There's a lot of reasons why we give thanks to God. If we've been blessed in some way, we give thanks to God for the person that he is using to bless us, or maybe the situation that he is using to bring that blessing upon us. If we have prayed to God and God has answered that prayer favorably, he has responded with a yes, I want to do that for you, then we give praise to God, or we give thanks to God for answering that prayer. And I think most of us still gather, when we gather around our dinner tables or whatever and eat our meals, we give thanks to God for the provisions that we know that we have that come ultimately at his hand. Yes, we earned a living and we brought the food to our table from the grocery store and all that, but we know that ultimately it's because of what God has done that we are able to have even our daily bread. And so we give thanks to God for that. When I consider the last couple of years since COVID-19 has come on the scene, and the hundreds of thousands of lives that have been lost, lives that have been devastated because of this virus, I give thanks to God that he has granted me life through this virus. And it could be that the virus has weakened. It could be that our immune systems have been strengthened over the last couple of years. Whatever the reason, I just had COVID and I survived. And I am thankful to God for that. I don't feel like I was near death at any point, but knowing what has happened over the past couple of years, I am truly thankful to God that he has blessed me with my continued life. The words "give thanks," they're used several times in the New Testament, as you might expect. Obviously, the giving of thanks in the context of the New Testament was giving thanks to God. We find Jesus on occasion giving thanks to God for blessings that God had given him, even for his daily bread or for the food, for example, in the fishes and the bread that was given out to the 5,000. Jesus gave thanks. And sometimes it was for food, but if you were to guess the total number of times that the word give thanks are used in the New Testament, if you were to guess what the author or the giving of thanks was for, what would you say would be the thing for which most people in the New Testament gave thanks for? And I thought that was an interesting question. I looked it up. Paul is constantly saying, I give thanks for you. And he's speaking to Christians. So he's saying, I give thanks to God for you. Paul was thankful for fellow Christians. He considered fellow Christians, the church worldwide, and individual Christians. He considered them to be a blessing from God. In English, we have two words, give thanks. In the Greek, it's only one word, and it's a word probably you're familiar with, not because it's a Greek word, but because of how the Greek word has been used by religious organizations. It's called, the Greek word is Eucharisto. And some people refer to or use this word Eucharisto or Eucharist to refer to the Lord's Supper, because Jesus, Eucharisto, he gave thanks for the bread and the fruit of the vine. But basically it means to be grateful. It's a compound word in the Greek, ou, meaning good, and charisso, probably pronounced that wrong, but it means favor. It's the same word that we get the word grace from. So Eucharisto is good favor. To be grateful then is to identify the favor that someone has bestowed upon you as good. So when Paul says, I give thanks to God for you, he's saying that I believe God has given me a good thing. You are that good thing. You are a good gift from God to me, is what Paul is saying. And I think that's just a wonderful expression or thought for us to have. It's a thought that I have, considering how much I have felt the love of this congregation, not only over the last several months, but especially in the last couple of weeks. I give thanks to you because, well, I give thanks to God because of the favor he has bestowed upon me by having you in my life. In Psalm 75, when he said, we give thanks to you, O God, we give thanks for your wondrous works, declare that your name is near. The word give thanks there is not Eucharisto, that's the Greek. This is the Hebrew, and it's the word yawdaw or yawdaw. I'm sure I mispronounced that because I don't know anything or very little anyway about Hebrew, but I really like the sound of yawdaw. It sounds really Southern. David was from the southern tribe of Judah, so maybe it was Southern, but the root for the word yawdaw is yawd, and it's the word which means hand. And the idea is that when they were giving thanks, they were extending their hands out to God, giving thanks to God. It was a verbal way of expressing giving. The extending of the hands was, I guess, a visual way of extending or saying giving thanks. But we translate it in English as give thanks because that's the idea of the word. The singer in the Psalms wants to say that God is worthy of praise, worthy of thanksgiving because of his wondrous works. He says that God's wondrous works are the thing or things that declare that God is near, that God's name is near. When you think of God's wondrous works, what thoughts come to your mind? I asked that question recently on Facebook. What do you think of when you think of God's wondrous works? Not a lot of people answered, but a few did. I got two babies, not two babies, I didn't get two babies, but two people said babies are a declaration of God's wondrous works. Somebody else said children, another person said kids, one person said his spouse, and then another person, and looking around me where I am now here in Blue Ridge or LJ, I see the nature, the wondrous works of God in nature. And I agree with that thought that the nature declares God's wondrous works. I think of the mountains, I think of the ocean, don't have an ocean here, but life in general is a expression of God's wondrous works, somebody said. Another person said the Bible is an expression of God's wondrous works, salvation, Jesus, all of that obviously is true. And maybe you have a different opinion, something that sticks out in your mind as to what is the wondrous, most wonderful, wondrous work of God. In this Psalm, Psalm 75, the writer is impressed with God's, and this is kind of not something that we typically think of, but he is impressed with God's judgment of the wicked. That's the wondrous work that he thinks of, at least at this moment in his life, whatever was causing that, whatever is behind that, he sees God's judgment of the wicked and God's exaltation of the righteous as the wondrous work of God that declares that his name is near. Maybe we don't think like that, living here in the mountains of Georgia and seeing the glory of God, experiencing the peace that we have around us, enjoying God's creation. Maybe we don't think like that. We're not in the situation that the psalmist was in when he wrote that. You can't, it's not proper, I suppose, to say that his idea of the wondrous works of God is not as good as our idea. That everyone has that idea, and everybody feels or sees the wondrous work of God in various ways. And it is right to say that his wondrous work is seen in all of these things. As Christians, you and I understand what God did in Jesus Christ. We see in the message of the cross the wondrous work of God. When we gather around the table upon the first day of the week to remember the Lord's suffering and death and the reason for that, we see that as a wondrous work of God. And Jesus wanted that to happen. He says, do this in remembrance of me, because he wants us to see the wondrous works of God in the message of salvation, in the message of the cross. Having been out of circulation for the last couple of weeks and not being around my brethren, my family, I miss being with you. And like Paul, I'm thankful for you. Like Paul, I believe the church is the wondrous work of God. He calls it the mystery of God in Ephesians chapter 3, but it's the wondrous work of God, the thing that God has been working for throughout the centuries, throughout time, and even before the foundations of the world were laid. But more than just the institution of the church, I'm thankful for you, the individual who is the church. I'm thankful for you in my life. The calls I have received this week, the visits that we've received at 6 foot distance, the food that has come our way, the prayers that have been offered. I know our names have been lifted up, and I'm so thankful to God for you for that. And all of that and more makes me, to use the Hebrew word yawdaw, lift up my hands in thanksgiving to God. I'm looking forward to being back with you on Sunday. The elders have decided that it's time that we can gather again in Mass to gather and worship our God, and they have in their wisdom kept us somewhat apart the last couple of Wednesdays, tonight and last Wednesday, canceling the services, and it's for the purpose of letting this virus move on through the community, and so that we can get back together. And I am anxious for that to happen. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on Sunday. Sorry we can't be together with you tonight. And the elders, talked to a couple of them, one today and one yesterday. They are anxious for us to resume our regular schedules, and I am ready for it. And I know you are too. And I'm looking forward to being with you on Sunday, enjoying the fellowship for which our Lord and Savior gave his life, that we can have that fellowship not only with God, but with one another. Look forward to seeing you Sunday. God bless, and have a great evening tonight.